Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium.
There was a relationship between Iraq and Al-Qaeda.
And was trying to reconstitute his nuclear weapons program.
And was working on 5 different methods of enriching uranium for a bomb.
That intelligence was good, sound intelligence, including mustard gas,
Poison gas, sarin nerve gas, 50 tons of mustard gas in a turkey farm.
Yes, the White House finally admitted this week the allegation that Iraq was seeking uranium from the African country of Niger was unsupported and came from documents that were forged.
And a political candidate who jumps to conclusions without knowing the facts is not a person you want as your commander-in-chief.
When the president had an opportunity to capture or kill Osama bin Laden, he took his focus off of him, outsourced the job to Afghan warlords, and Osama bin Laden escaped. 6 months after he said Osama bin Laden must be caught dead or alive, this president was asked, "Where's Osama bin Laden?" He said, "I don't know. I don't really think about him very much. I'm not that concerned." We need a president who stays deadly focused on the real war on terror.
Mr. President.
Gosh, I don't think I ever said I'm not worried about Osama bin Laden. It's kind of one of those exaggerations.
So I don't know where he is, nor, I just don't spend that much time on him. I repeat what I said. I truly am not that concerned about him.
This week we learned the CIA plans to shut down the unit charged with finding public enemy #1, Osama bin Laden.
CIA Director George Tenet and his counterterrorism chief Cofer Black, 2 months before 9/11, requested an emergency meeting with Condoleezza Rice to sound the alarm that intelligence showed al-Qaeda would soon attack the United States.
Condoleezza Rice, disputing the book's account of a July 10, 2001 meeting. She has no specific recollections. She said, "I would remember if I was told, as this account apparently says, that there was about to be an attack in the United States. The idea that I would somehow have ignored that, I find incomprehensible."
Do we know who's right here, Woodward or Secretary Rice?
No, she was warned. I mean, there was a meeting. It was George Tenet, Dick Clark, another individual from the agency, Cofer Black, and Steve Hadley.
Did you tell the president at any time prior to August 6th of the existence of al-Qaeda cells in the United States?
First, let me just make certain.
If you could just answer that question,
first,
because I only have a very limited...
I understand, Commissioner, but it's
Did you tell the
important
president?
that I also address...
It wasn't like a trial. You couldn't grill these people till you got the answer.
I really don't remember, Commissioner, whether I discussed this with the president.
Just let me move on if I may.
There were no specifics.
What about August 6th? What did August 6th memo say? And then she would start going off.
It was historical information based on old reporting. There was no new threat information, and it did not, in fact, warn of any coming attacks inside the United States.
And what was the title of the memo?
I believe the title was Bin Laden Determined to Attack Inside the United States. Now, the PDB...
There's lots of examples where it's a domestic threat. Bin Laden told followers he wanted to retaliate in Washington. Bin Laden was planning to exploit the operatives' access to the U.S. to mount a terrorist strike. Abu Zubaydah was planning his own U.S. attack. Plus, FBI information since that time indicates patterns of suspicious activity in this country consistent with preparations for hijackings or other types of attacks, including recent surveillance of federal buildings in New York.
Clearly, something yesterday took place in New York that was not foreseen, that we had no specific information about.
No specific threat involving really domestic operation or involving what happened, obviously, the city's airliner and so forth.
There were no warning signs that I'm aware of that would indicate this type of operation.
The LA Times reported U.S. officials were warned of a threat posed from the air by commercial airliners.
Nobody in our government, at least, and I don't think the prior government could envision flying airplanes into buildings.
USA Today reports that in the 2 years before the attacks on September the 11th, NORAD conducted exercises using hijacked airliners as weapons. And one target was the World Trade Center.
Pentagon planners also envisioned the attack on the Pentagon 5 months before it happened. According to this April 2001 Pentagon email, Air Force officials wanted a war game, having a terrorist group hijack a commercial airline and fly it into the Pentagon.
Mr. Watson had come to you and said that the CIA was very concerned that there would be an attack. You said that you told the Attorney General this fact repeatedly in these meetings. Is that correct?
I've told him at least on 2 occasions.
And you told the staff, according to this statement, that Mr. Ashcroft told you that he did not want to hear about this anymore. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Why is the Attorney General of the United States doing all his air travel by specially chartered jet?
The Justice Department cited what it called a threat assessment by the FBI and said Ashcroft has been advised to travel only by private jet for the remainder of his term.
And on the night before the attacks, the president may have slept more soundly, knowing surface-to-air missiles were placed on the roof of the Sarasota, Florida resort where he was staying. Not a typical security procedure at the time. That same night, quote, a particularly urgent warning may have been received, causing some top Pentagon brass to cancel their scheduled flights the morning of 9/11. Why the same information was not available to the 266 people who died aboard the 4 hijacked aircraft may become a hot topic on the Hill. It never did.
Mr. Secretary, what exactly was the connection between Saddam Hussein and al-Qaeda?
I tell you, I'm not going to answer the question.
Case closed. We've never been able to confirm any connection between Iraq and 9/11. And the meeting with Atta did not occur. We don't know. I mean, we've never been able to link it, and
the irony, of course, the brutal irony, is that while implications about a 9/11 connection, innuendo, or false claims, if you will, helped take us into Iraq, the Iraqi war itself has created real al-Qaeda Iraqi links that might keep us from getting out.
Do you have any moments of doubt that we fought the wrong war? That there's something wrong with the perception of America overseas?
Well, those are 2 different questions. Did we fight the wrong war? And I have no doubt. The war came to our shores. Remember that. We had a foreign policy that basically said, let's hope calm works. And we were attacked.
But those weren't Iraqis.
No, they weren't, no, I agree, they weren't Iraqi. Of course we're after Saddam Hussein, bin Laden. He's isolated.